hitting 20. 18 people have died in Kathmandu, 2 in Itahari. Hospitals are overwhelmed because of the rising number of the injured. Condition of 25 protesters remain critical. Curfew now being imposed along the India-Nepal border as well as a precautionary measure. Things are going out of hand in Nepal. I'm going to go straight across to Pankaj Das for more on that from Nepal at this point in time. Pankaj, thank you for talking to us. Give us an idea about the current situation. What's really happening around you? Where exactly are you, Pankaj?
यहाँ पे संसद भवन के पास में अभी भी लगातार प्रदर्शन जारी है और सेना से उतरने के बावजूद सेना में जो यहाँ पे पार्लियामेंट का बिल्डिंग है उसकी सुरक्षा में सेना लगी हुई है। इसके बावजूद यहाँ पे लगातार इस समय शाम के 6:30 बज रहे यहाँ पे कभी भी प्रदर्शन का दौर जारी है और पुलिस के साथ इनका झड़प भी लगातार हो रहा है। प्रदर्शनकारी की तरफ से पथराव किया जा रहा है और पुलिस की तरफ से बल का प्रयोग किया जा रहा है, जिसके कारण से घायलों की संख्या लगातार बढ़ती जा रही है और इतने ज्यादा घायल हो गए कि आसपास के सभी अस्पतालों में बेड जो है वो फुल हो गए। यहाँ की व्यवस्था करमरा गई है। अब दूसरे दूर के अस्पतालों में घायलों को भेजा जा रहा है। इसी तरह मरने वालों का तादाद भी लगातार बढ़ते जा रहा है। न सिर्फ काठमांडू में बल्कि काठमांडू के बाहर भी पोखरा में गोली चली है, इटहरी में गोली चली है, जहाँ 2 लोग मारे गए हैं। प्रधानमंत्री का जो होम डिस्ट्रिक्ट है ढाका, यहाँ दमक में गोलियां चली गई जिससे 3 लोग घायल हो गए। तो धीरे धीरे ये जो है प्रदर्शन काठमांडू से बाहर भी और जोर पकड़ रहा है सरकार के खिलाफ में, लेकिन सरकार की तरफ से अभी तक कोई भी इस तरह का बयान नहीं आया है। सिर्फ बैठकों का दौर जारी है।
लेकिन पंकज, सवाल यहाँ पर ये उठता है कि आखिरकार ऐसे सिचुएशन आउट ऑफ हैंड हुआ कैसे? इतने सारे लोग इस पूरे प्रोटेस्ट में मारे गए हैं। इंटेलिजेंस का क्या रोल रहा इस पर? बहुत सारे जगहों में वायलेंस, आर्सन भी हुआ है। ये तस्वीरें हम देख रहे हैं जहाँ पर दिख रहा है कि पुलिस और जो पैरामिलिट्री स्टाफ और ये ऑफिसर्स हैं ये सिचुएशन को अंडर कंट्रोल में लाने की कोशिश करें, लेकिन 2-3 दिनों से ही ये चल रहा है, सिमर कर रहा है।
देखिए, आज सुबह से जैसे ही प्रोटेस्ट शुरू हुआ तो किसी को इस बात का अंदाजा नहीं था कि इतनी बड़ी संख्या में, इतनी बड़े तादाद में युवा जो है इस प्रदर्शन में सहभागी हो जाएंगे, क्योंकि ये न किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का था, न किसी लीडर का था, न किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने इसको बुलाया था। ये कुछ जो सोशल मीडिया 2-4 नेपाल में अभी भी चल रहे हैं, जैसे टिकटॉक हुआ, रेडिट हुआ, इन सब छोटे छोटे सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म के जरिए युवाओं ने एक दूसरे का आह्वान किया और यहाँ के न्यूज चैनल जो है वो लगातार इस बात को कह रहे थे कि सरकार के जो सोशल मीडिया पर जो बैन लगा इसके खिलाफ में जेएनजी का प्रोसेस जो है उनका वो शुरू होने वाला है। तो वो इन खबरों का असर ये हुआ कि लाखों की संख्या में जो है युवा सड़क से उतरे और जिसको कंट्रोल कर पाना यहाँ के सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के लिए बहुत मुश्किल हो रहा है। कर्फ्यू लगाने के बावजूद इस समय यहाँ पे काठमांडू में जो पार्लियामेंट का एरिया वहाँ पे अभी भी लगातार झड़प हो रही, लगातार गोलियां चलाई जा रही है और घायलों की संख्या लगातार बढ़ती जा रही है।
शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए पंकज दास, getting in those details and tracking that big story for us at this point in time. Right, let's now take a look at what is the latest amid the ongoing protests over Oli government's move to ban 26 social media platforms including Facebook, YouTube and X, which is Twitter. 20 people have died in Nepal amid the violent protests because of Nepal's sweeping ban on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp and other social media platforms. Violent clashes between police and protesters in the heart of the capital as curfew extended in Kathmandu and Pokhara, including at the Vice President's house and Prime Minister's house areas in Kathmandu, which is the capital city. Chaos grips Kathmandu as furious protesters take to the streets, defying restrictions, vandalizing Parliament Gate in a dramatic show of anger. Police resorted to heavy force to contain the mobs there. Security has been tightened across the capital, including Baneshwar around the Parliament. Gen Z protesters are skirting the ban by using VPNs to send messages and mobilize online. Over 100 people have been injured so far. Nepal Army sources confirm 2 to 3 platoons have already been deployed, but only within Kathmandu at the request of the government. Police have cracked down against the protesters. They are firing rubber bullets, tear gas shells. Chilling eyewitness account from Kathmandu claims police are firing live rounds indiscriminately, aiming above the knees. He recounts of a friend was shot in the hand. His gunfire rang out even from inside the Parliament complex. Government sources in Nepal confirm an emergency security meeting has been convened to assess the escalating crisis. Top officials are huddling to review the ground situation and chart the next steps as unrest spirals in Kathmandu. A massive youth-led protest is unfolding in Nepal. Thousands of Gen Z demonstrators take to the streets against corruption and the KP Sharma Oli government's recent crackdown on social media. What began as online dissent has escalated into street clashes, prompting authorities to impose a curfew in key areas of Kathmandu, including around Parliament. Unrest was triggered by the government's September 4th decision to block 26 social media platforms, including Facebook, X, WhatsApp, and YouTube, for not registering with the Ministry of Communications. While officials claim it's a regulatory move, protesters see it as censorship aimed at silencing dissent. In spite of internet and phone blackouts, protesters use platforms like TikTok and Reddit to mobilize. Marching from Maithighar Mandala to Parliament, they broke police barricades, leading to tear gas and water cannon deployment. Some demonstrators reportedly breached the Parliament compound. Several people have been injured, 2 are dead. Dubbed the Gen Z revolution, the movement reflects deep frustrations over corruption and economic inequality, with the social media ban seen as the breaking point really for Nepal's digitally connected youth.
ये प्रोटेस्ट करप्शन के लिए है। हम सब लोग अब जागरूक हो चुके हैं कि अब बस अब नहीं सह पाएगा। अब जो होगा अब युवा पुस्ता करेगा। हम लोग को ये बूढ़ा लोग नहीं चाहिए। अब जो देश चलाएगा वो युवा लोग चलाएगा।
Yes, today the Gen Z generation is very aware about the social media, and they were engaging in the social media. But all the social media government has announced to come to register in the proper channel, and this is the only try to make it in registration and regulation. Due to that, we can make it private. We can preserve the private secrecy, privacy, and criminology. Not to promote the criminology.
Violent protests continue in Kathmandu. Protesters spell stones at Nepal cops. Nepal National Human Rights Commission condemns the deaths, injuries of protesters due to excessive use of force by security forces during the youth-led protests against the ban on social media and on political corruption. We're getting in details of the current situation right now. Things continue to look extremely grim. Protesters spell stones essentially at the Nepal police. Nepal National Human Rights Commission has also intervened, condemning the deaths and injuries of protesters due to excessive use of force, is what they say, during the youth-led protests against the ban on social media and political corruption. 20 young people have died in those protests, as to tell our viewers at this point in time. That's the update. Hundreds have been injured. Hospitals have been completely overwhelmed. Protests continue in Kathmandu, pelting stones at the Nepal Police. Human Rights Commission condemning the deaths and injuries of protesters due to excessive use of force by the security forces during the youth-led protests. Pankaj continues to be with us. Pankaj, Human Rights Commission ने इस मैटर को कंडेम किया है, किस तरीके का एक्शन लिया जाएगा? इस समय डिमांड ये है कि वहाँ की लीडरशिप जो है वो रिजाइन करे। जेन ज़ी ये डिमांड कर रही है, ऑपोजिशन का भी यही डिमांड है। पंकज, इस समय प्रेशर बन रहा है सरकार पे कि रिजाइन करे, ओली रिजाइन करे, ओली सरकार को रिजाइन करना होगा। ऑपोजिशन का ये कहना है, यूथ प्रोटेस्टर्स का भी यही कहना है।
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल ये चूँकि पूरा
जी।
का पूरा प्रोसेस जो है वो क्योंकि वाली गवर्नमेंट के ही खिलाफ ही और सारे लोग जो सुबह से नारे लगा के प्रधानमंत्री के खिलाफ ही नारेबाजी कर रहे थे। तो ज़ाहिर-सी बात है इन सब के लिए जो इस समय ये सिचुएशन है इसकी ज़िम्मेवारी प्रधानमंत्री को लेनी चाहिए, ऐसा प्रदर्शनकारियों का कहना है। की जो अपोजिशन पार्टी है, उनके तरफ से भी प्राइम मिनिस्टर को रिजाइन करने का डिमांड हुआ है। यहाँ पे अपोजिशन अलायंस की मीटिंग हुई थी। उनके तरफ से भी कहा गया कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर को रिजाइन करना चाहिए क्योंकि वो सिचुएशन को कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रहे और सिचुएशन वो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का जो सिचुएशन है काठमांडू में और इसके अलावा कई अन्य शहरों में जो कंट्रोल से बाहर हो गया है, तो इसलिए ये गवर्नमेंट पूरी तरह से फेल हो चुकी है। जो रूलिंग पार्टी नेपाली कांग्रेस है, उनकी भी इमरजेंसी मीटिंग चल रही है इस समय। उनके तरफ से भी शायद प्रधानमंत्री को कहा गया है कि जितनी जल्दी हो सके वो जो है सोशल मीडिया बैन को हटा दे। लेकिन अब लगता नहीं कि सिर्फ इस डिसीजन के बाद जो है प्रदर्शनकारी रुक पाएंगे। नहीं पता चल पाएगा।
शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। पंकज दास getting us up to speed with those details and the very latest as far as the Gen Z revolution here is concerned. Gen Z unrest spreads in Nepal, in Kathmandu. Let's tell you about the various locations here which have in fact been affected. Also Biratnagar, Pokhara, Nepalganj, Bharatpur, Itahari and Sansari. These are the areas where the violence and the unrest essentially has spread. It's not just, viewers, the capital city of Kathmandu, but the other areas also continue to be affected. Pankaj Das getting in more on that story. Pankaj, ये सोचने वाली बात है कि इतने दिनों से ये सिमर हो रहा था, अचानक से जो आज है वो लोग सड़कों पे नहीं आए, कई दिनों से ये चल रहा है और वायलेशंस भी देखा जा रहा है, जैसे कि जो ब्लॉक हो गया है, जो वेबसाइट्स और जो एप्स को ब्लॉक किया है सरकार ने, यूट्यूब को, मीटा, व्हाट्सएप, ट्विटर या एक्स, इसका लोग इसे एक्सेस भी कर पा रहे हैं कुछ हद तक, और टिकटॉक का भी जो है इस्तेमाल, वाइबर का भी मैं देख रही हूँ कि इस्तेमाल हो रहा है इस पूरे इन कई सारे एरियाज में।
अभी देखो वाइबर और टिकटॉक जो है वो नेपाल में बैन नहीं है क्योंकि टिकटॉक ने पहले ही सरकार के कहने पर वो रजिस्ट्रेशन यहाँ पे करवा चुकी है, इसलिए टिकटॉक चल रहा है और इसी टिकटॉक की वजह से आज इतने सारे जो संख्या में जो जेन जी प्रोटेस्टर यहाँ पे आए हैं, इसका एक बहुत बड़ा कारण ये टिकटॉक और वाइबर भी है। ये व्हाट्सएप को लोग आमतौर पर यूज करते थे, लेकिन व्हाट्सएप पर बैन लगने के बाद वाइबर यहाँ पे नंबर 1 पर ट्रेंड कर रहा है इस समय और ज्यादा लोग वाइबर को यूज कर रहे हैं, ये जो प्रोटेस्टर है वो। इसके अलावा कई दूसरी छोटे जो सोशल मीडिया साइट है उनको यूज किया गया था इन सबको इकट्ठा करने के लिए, और साथ में जो यहाँ के न्यूज चैनल, जो ऑनलाइन न्यूज पोर्टल है, उन लोगों ने लगातार इस खबर को दी कि आज के दिन जो 8 सितंबर का दिन रखा गया था, आज के दिन सब अपने अपने शहरों में इकट्ठा होंगे, सब अलग अलग शहरों का लोकेशन तय करके सोशल मीडिया पर इस मैसेज को स्प्रेड किया गया था और लोगों तक, युवाओं तक पहुंचाया गया था। इसको जेन जी रिवॉल्यूशन के नाम से आज ये सुबह से शुरू हुआ है।
Pankaj Das getting in those details at this point in time as far as the Gen Z outrage here in different parts of Nepal is concerned. Like I said at the outset, it's not just the capital city of Kathmandu, but protesters stormed Nepal's parliament as well in the other areas which have been affected. Let's take a look at the social media ban protest. What really happened? Now, earlier this year, on the 17th of August, the Supreme Court there directed the government to regulate and register platforms. A few days later, on the 25th day of August, the cabinet enforced the new directive. Compliance deadline was set. On the 4th of September 2025, the government banned 26 platforms, which is Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, X or Twitter, YouTube, among others. On the 5th of September, just 3 days ago, platforms go completely dark. Protests grow over free speech, clamp down. On the 7th of September, journalists march against this blackout. But apart from journalists, as we've seen, it's the other people, also the general people, especially the younger lot, have now stepped onto the streets in protest. This is being called the Gen Z revolution, leading mass protests which have erupted in Kathmandu, demanding rights and demanding accountability from the administration. Pankaj continues to be with us. Pankaj, सरकार का इसमें ये कहना है कि ये तो हम बस रेगुलेट कर रहे थे, कि इनको रजिस्टर करना था सरकार के साथ मिनिस्ट्री में, और ये एक बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट है। इस पे कुछ अनयूजुअल नहीं है, ये कोई क्लैम डाउन नहीं है। क्योंकि मीटा ने रजिस्टर नहीं किया इसलिए ब्लैकआउट हो गया।
तो जिसको लेकर सरकार अपना दावा पेश कर रहे हैं कि हमने इस कारण से इसको बैन किया, उस सुप्रीम कोर्ट के वर्डिक्ट को जो प्रदर्शनकारी, जो अन्य दूसरे लोग हैं, वो अलग अपने तरीके से व्याख्या कर रहे हैं। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने गवर्नमेंट को रेगुलेट करने को कहा था, इसको बैन करने को नहीं कहा था, लेकिन सरकार ने सीधे सीधे सारे सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म को बैन कर दिया, जिसके कारण से न सिर्फ लोगों जो युवा पुस्ता है उनका ज्यादातर समय आजकल सोशल मीडिया पर दिखता है, वो अपना काम काज भी इसमें देखते जिससे एम्प्लॉयमेंट है, इसका एक एड ऐसा बहुत बड़ा माध्यम है सोशल मीडिया, जिसके कारण से कई सारी कंपनियां चल रही थी, छोटी छोटी कंपनियां जो खुद का बिजनेस स्टार्ट कर रहे थे, उन सबको ये लगा कि सरकार न सिर्फ हमारे बोलने की अभिव्यक्ति पर हमारे बोलने की आजादी पर वो प्रतिबंध लगा रही है, बल्कि जो हमारा बिजनेस हमने शुरू किया था सोशल मीडिया के कारण जो बिजनेस कर रहा था, उस कारण उस पर भी सरकार ने हमारे रोजी रोटी पर लात मारा है। तो इस कारण से गुस्सा और अधिक है। लोगों का, युवाओं का ये भी मानना है यहाँ पे कि सरकार जो अपनी नाकामी छिपाने के लिए, ताकि सरकार के खिलाफ जो गुस्सा सोशल मीडिया पर दिख रहा था, सरकार के जो नाकामियों की बातें सोशल मीडिया पे हो रही थी, सरकार के मंत्रियों को लेकर जिस तरह की टीका टिप्पणी सोशल मीडिया पर हो रही थी, उस पर सरकार अंकुश लगाना चाहती थी। तो कहीं ना कहीं ये लोगों को लग रहा था कि सरकार तानाशाही रवैया के ये आगे बढ़ रही है और इसलिए ये गुस्सा फूटा है। सिर्फ ये रेगुलेट करने की बात और सुप्रीम कोर्ट के वर्डिक्ट को लागू करने की बात नहीं है।
बने रहिए पंकज दास हमारे साथ। विल जस्ट कम बैक टू यू इन अ मोमेंट फ्रॉम नाउ। आई एम आल्सो गोइंग टू गो अक्रॉस टू गरिमा बिस्ता movement is part of course of Hami Nepali, an organizer of the leading voices of the protest. Thank you so much for your time. आप बता सकती है इस समय सिचुएशन कैसा है, क्योंकि ये जो तस्वीरें हमारे पास स्ट्रीम हो रही हैं वो दिखाता है कि बहुत ही ज़्यादा अनरेस्ट है। आपके मूवमेंट के बारे में बताइए और ये भी बताइए कि 20 लोग इस पे मारे गए हैं, इन सारे प्रोटेस्ट में मारे गए हैं। सिचुएशन बहुत ही गंभीर है।
Yeah, hi. So the
Hi.
situation here is very critical,
Yes.
especially the childrens with their school uniforms and college uniforms are actually being attacked. Not just that, we actually tend to have a very peaceful protest, and just trust me, we every other platform where we had access to, every information were flowed very properly that this protest is going to be very peaceful. We are not going to harm any of the public properties, or we are not even going to make the environment dirty. Everything that was very clear to us, but the thing happened
Did things go
when
so out of hand is the big question. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's mind-boggling that 20 young people have lost their lives. And how also is what I want to ask you, because eyewitnesses are saying that the police shot at them. This has been indiscriminate shooting as opposed to the claim of rubber bullets being used by the cops there. What happened? Tell us more.
It's they
Yes.
have not just used the rubber bullets, they have used this the real bullets. And not just that, even the tear gases were coming from the homes, not just from the police side, also from the homes in the buildings of the roads. And not just that, they were randomly firing the bullet, which was clearly visible. Even to me, I could clearly see police, they were coming in the groups and they were not even seeing anywhere, they're randomly firing the bullets. And then after, tear gas is everywhere. Not just that, if you go through the TikToks, you can clearly see police that themselves are damaging some of the private vehicles with their stakes. And this looks more of the people. This protest was actually supposed to be Gen Z's protest in a very peaceful manner. This was all very clear, but this seems like some of the politically influenced people, or people with different agendas involved, and having it in a very chaotic way. And we could also see that everything was going, it was police who actually started everything in the front line. First started with the tear gas, and then after the bullets, and then the sticks and everything. And not just that, even the small kids from the schools were there. They even fired the tear gases and the bullets to the school students. The situation is very critical. The bloods are everywhere in the road. Even in our flag we have blood. This is very I don't know how to explain this feeling. This is something that government is really trying us to tape us off, like not to speak up. But this is more than enough. We have never spoke of this is
Garima,
also
I also want to ask you, and please talk to us a little about what the government has said. Essentially, they say that this was more about regulation, which us in India also, Mita has to comply even in India. And the same was expected of Mita in Nepal as well. This is something that was supposed to be done. They didn't do it, is what the government says. There is no ban. However, if you're not complying with the rules of the government, there would be a blackout, is the government's argument.
It's more of that. It's not just the Meta. It's actually most of the Nepali app that we have. Most of those has also been banned. They says that we have heard that it's because of the registration process. Apart from that, they also want to get access to our social media platform. They want the control over what we type and what we they just want to control over. They want more of a transparency to our voice and opinions and our freedom. And more of that, this protest is actually not for social media ban, just to clear. This is more for the corruption. This is more like this social media ban has actually been the cause for us as an eye opener, but the main cause is not just the social media. It's actually for the corruption. It's actually for the transparency that our government is not doing it, actually for that, because we could
Okay.
clearly see the politician who are actually in race right now. We could see
Okay.
their pictures. Back then they had nothing. Now we can see their kids, they have like very branded things. Okay, fine, they have it, but how did that all money come from? Their parents, how much they earn? They're in a public post, we know how much their salary is. It's more of the
Okay.
corruption thing rather than just a ban on social media. it's
However,
it's
the unfortunate part of this really is that in this Gen Z revolution, in the protest, this was supposed to be peaceful, like Garima is sending us from Hami, Nepali. She says that this was supposed to be quiet, peaceful, a silent protest, but things have gone completely out of hand. There's been a brutal crackdown on the young protesters. Remember, these are young people who've lost their lives and have been injured. Garima, I'm going to thank you for joining in and telling us about the situation which is brewing on the ground. Very, very worrisome. Protesters injured. 20 of them have lost their lives. Not just Kathmandu, but several areas have been affected because of these protests and, of course, the brutal crackdown that we are seeing here. Going straight across to this exclusive, BJP's man in the state of Tamil Nadu, K. Annamalai, in conversation with us.
I'm there for the last 20 years now. Came here to study 2002 for engineering, got married here. Wife is from here. So city adapted me, I adapted the city. Both of us are here.
So then you're home.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
We could be seeing, we could tomorrow see that the vice president of the country also comes from Coimbatore.
Another proud moment for Coimbatore city because he was an MP here twice. And tomorrow, hopefully, and certainly when he becomes the vice president of our country, and Coimbatore will rightfully say that it has produced a lot of gentlemen politicians, and C.P. Radhakrishnan will be one. In fact, the first finance minister of our country also came from Coimbatore, Shanmugam Shetty. From there, a lot of great people have adorned highest offices. Yeah.
That's true. I agree with you. Coimbatore has a legacy of great minds, great people. Mr. Annamalai, I began my introduction by referring to your IPS days. You're now a politician. Do you think you've been able to effect more change as a politician or as a police officer?
Madam, I think democracy, politics is very gradual in nature and nothing happens overnight. And especially in a state like Tamil Nadu, I've taken a path, I've taken an ideological path with Bharatiya Janata Party, which will take some time. So patience is very important. And I can't just measure in 5 years, 10 years, I should have done this, we should have done this, the party should have done this. With respect to Kaki, it's a great field. Enjoyed my 9-10 years there. But for me, I always believe in karma, madam. I don't look at the past now. So politics, it's a long, long game. It's more like a marathon. You just have to stay the course. I keep telling people that BJP has to get a chance once in Tamil Nadu where people should give their love to us. Once it happens, then continuously we'll keep getting that love. And to get that love once, you got to stay the course. And it might happen 10 years from now, 5 years from now, you never know. But before that, I never get into this habit of measuring what should have happened, I should have continued, I should have stayed. But this is the call I've taken with fullness of my heart because I believed my state needed a change. I believe my state needed a different direction, the way it was being there and the way it has to go. And I'm committed to it.
You're saying stay the course, but there are ups and downs.
Oh, match source, Sandeep.
Absolutely, Gaurav. And firstly, happy Independence Day to you, all our viewers watching.
And we'll kickstart this edition with some news just coming in. This is from our neighboring country of Nepal, where the situation continues to remain rather tense in the country. Death toll due to Gen Z protest in Nepal has now risen to a whopping 20. 18 people have died in Kathmandu, 2 in Itahari. Hospitals are overwhelmed because of the rising number of the injured. Condition of 25 protesters remain critical. Curfew now being imposed along the India-Nepal border as well as a precautionary measure. Things are going out of hand in Nepal. I'm going to go straight across to Pankaj Das for more on that from Nepal at this point in time. Pankaj, thank you for talking to us. Give us an idea about the current situation. What's really happening around you? Where exactly are you, Pankaj?
यहाँ पे संसद भवन के पास में अभी भी लगातार प्रदर्शन जारी है और सेना से उतरने के बावजूद सेना में जो यहाँ पे पार्लियामेंट का बिल्डिंग है उसकी सुरक्षा में सेना लगी हुई है। इसके बावजूद यहाँ पे लगातार इस समय शाम के 6:30 बज रहे यहाँ पे कभी भी प्रदर्शन का दौर जारी है और पुलिस के साथ इनका झड़प भी लगातार हो रहा है। प्रदर्शनकारी की तरफ से पथराव किया जा रहा है और पुलिस की तरफ से बल का प्रयोग किया जा रहा है, जिसके कारण से घायलों की संख्या लगातार बढ़ती जा रही है और इतने ज्यादा घायल हो गए कि आसपास के सभी अस्पतालों में बेड जो है वो फुल हो गए। यहाँ की व्यवस्था करमरा गई है। अब दूसरे दूर के अस्पतालों में घायलों को भेजा जा रहा है। इसी तरह मरने वालों का तादाद भी लगातार बढ़ते जा रहा है। न सिर्फ काठमांडू में बल्कि काठमांडू के बाहर भी पोखरा में गोली चली है, इटहरी में गोली चली है, जहाँ 2 लोग मारे गए हैं। प्रधानमंत्री का जो होम डिस्ट्रिक्ट है ढाका, यहाँ जमक में गोलियां चली गई जिससे 3 लोग घायल हो गए। तो धीरे धीरे ये जो है प्रदर्शन काठमांडू से बाहर भी और जोर पकड़ रहा है सरकार के खिलाफ में, लेकिन सरकार की तरफ से अभी तक कोई भी इस तरह का बयान नहीं आया है। कुछ बैठकों का दौर जारी है।
लेकिन पंकज, सवाल यहाँ पर ये उठता है कि आखिरकार ऐसे सिचुएशन आउट ऑफ हैंड हुआ कैसे? इतने सारे लोग इस पूरे प्रोटेस्ट में मारे गए हैं। इंटेलिजेंस का क्या रोल रहा इस पर? बहुत सारी जगहों में वायलेंस, आर्सन भी हुआ है। ये तस्वीरें हम देख रहे हैं जहाँ पर दिख रहा है कि पुलिस और जो पैरामिलिट्री स्टाफ और ये ऑफिसर्स हैं ये सिचुएशन को अंडर कंट्रोल में लाने की कोशिश करें, लेकिन 2-3 दिनों से ही ये चल रहा है, सिमर कर रहा है।
देखिए, आज सुबह से जैसे ही प्रोटेस्ट शुरू हुआ तो किसी को इस बात का अंदाजा नहीं था कि इतनी बड़ी संख्या में, इतनी बड़े तादाद में युवा जो है इस प्रदर्शन में सहभागी हो जाएंगे, क्योंकि ये न किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का था, न किसी लीडर का था, न किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने इसको बुलाया था। ये कुछ जो सोशल मीडिया 2-4 नेपाल में अभी भी चल रहे हैं, जैसे टिकटॉक हुआ, रेडिट हुआ, इन सब छोटे छोटे सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म के जरिए युवाओं ने एक दूसरे का आह्वान किया और यहाँ के न्यूज चैनल जो है लगातार इस बात को कह रहे थे कि सरकार के जो सोशल मीडिया पर जो बैन लगा इसके खिलाफ में जेएनजी का प्रोसेस जो है उनका वो शुरू होने वाला है। तो वो इन खबरों का असर ये हुआ कि लाखों की संख्या में जो है युवा सड़क से उतरे और जिसको कंट्रोल कर पाना यहाँ पे सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस के लिए बहुत मुश्किल हो रहा है। कर्फ्यू लगाने के बावजूद इस समय यहाँ पे काठमांडू में जो पार्लियामेंट का एरिया वहाँ पे अभी भी लगातार झड़प रही, लगातार गोलियां चलाई जा रही है और घायलों की संख्या लगातार बढ़ती जा रही है।
शुक्रिया हमें साथ जुड़ने के लिए। पंकज दास getting in those details and tracking that big story for us at this point in time. All right, let's now take a look at what is the latest amid the ongoing protests over Oli government's move to ban 26 social media platforms including Facebook, YouTube and X, which is Twitter. 20 people have died in Nepal amid the violent protests because of Nepal's sweeping ban on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp and other social media platforms. Violent clashes between police and protesters in the heart of the capital as curfew extended in Kathmandu and Pokhara, including at the Vice President's house and Prime Minister's house areas in Kathmandu, which is the capital city. Chaos grips Kathmandu as furious protesters take to the streets, defying restrictions, vandalizing Parliament Gate in a dramatic show of anger. Police resorted to heavy force to contain the mobs there. Security has been tightened across the capital, including Baneshwar around the Parliament.
be killed.
Gen Z protesters are skirting the ban by using VPNs to send messages and mobilize online. Over 100 people have been injured so far. Nepal army sources confirm 2 to 3 platoons have already been deployed, but only within Kathmandu at the request of the government. Police have cracked down against the protesters. They are firing rubber bullets, tear gas shells. Chilling eyewitness account from Kathmandu claims police are firing live rounds indiscriminately, aiming above the knees. He recounts of a friend was shot in the hand. His gunfire rang out even from inside the Parliament complex. Government sources in Nepal confirm an emergency security meeting has been convened to assess the escalating crisis. Top officials are huddling to review the ground situation and chart the next steps as unrest spirals in Kathmandu. A massive youth-led protest is unfolding in Nepal. Thousands of Gen Z demonstrators take to the streets against corruption and the KP Sharma Oli government's recent crackdown on social media. What began as online dissent has escalated into street clashes, prompting authorities to impose a curfew in key areas of Kathmandu, including around Parliament. Unrest was triggered by the government's September 4th decision to block 26 social media platforms, including Facebook, X, WhatsApp, and YouTube, for not registering with the Ministry of Communication.
We have more breaking news coming in at this given point. We will bring to your highlight this particular news that we're picking up. Social media ban sparks protests in Nepal. These are the visuals we are in fact getting. It's a Gen Z revolution that's been started against the Oli government in Nepal against social media ban. The new generation of the country has in fact started demonstrations against the government's ban on social media and corruption. Thousands of youth were in fact, as you can see on your screen, seen marching on the streets and shouting slogans against the government during this demonstration. Now, during the demonstration itself, the government had in fact disrupted phones and internet services for hours. Now, despite the social media ban, the youth had made some social media their medium and called for the demonstrations today. The youth seemed angry with the ban on 26 social media accounts, which includes the likes of Facebook, platform X, WhatsApp, YouTube by the Nepal government. And now the Gen Z youth has come out to the streets to demonstrate, and it's been named the Gen Z revolution at this given point. That is what we are picking up. You can see the numbers in which they have come out on the streets to, in fact, express their frustration on the very ban. The reasons behind this ban, some of them, if I were to quickly sum it up for you, was non-compliance with government rules to register locally and establish accountability mechanisms. Platforms were required to appoint local liaison officers, grievance officers, and implement self-regulation and content moderation, which they were unable to do. The government's aim is also to curb online hate speech, misinformation, and cybercrime. Anil Giri joining us from Kathmandu at this given point. Anil, if you could take us through what the situation is like, give us a pulse of the ground. We can see the numbers in which these students and the youth have come out on the streets at this given point.
You know, thousands of Gen Z generation, youth, they are coming in the street in Kathmandu, protesting against the, corrupt, political system, political party leader. And they're also protesting against the, the social media ban. and they want to clean up the political this mess. So they spontaneously thousands of Nepali youth, probably more than 25,000 youths are coming in the street, and they are marching towards the parliament building. And the local police, local administration in Kathmandu, they have imposed the curfew, and the situation is in the ground is very volatile, and situation is very, very scary in Kathmandu right now. Yes.
Absolutely, we can understand, given the visuals we are in fact picking up from there. Just to set some context for our viewers, take us through what exactly was this ban all about that the youth is protesting against in Kathmandu at this point.
No, I am not hearing your voice properly. Could you repeat your question?
Anil, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I am hearing right now, yes.
Yes. My question is, what was the ban with regards to, why was there a ban on social media platforms in the first place?
So, the government said that so they have to register the social media. They have to come and register the social media in our system so that, they can contain the filters and something like that. So this has been created a huge opposition from the public, and it has become a huge backlash from the public and the new generation. So there is a backlash among the public. So there is the government has unnecessarily put this kind of condition to come and register the social media like Facebook, YouTube and Twitter and others. More 26. The government has categorized the 26 different social media platform to come and register there in the government system, and they have been imposing, and the government has said that if they are not going to register in the government system, they will disband them. They will ban them. So that is the main reason. That is why there is a frustration among the local. There is a frustration not only youth, even general people who are users of the social media. They are also very much angry over the government decision. So they are demanding the unban of the social media. The major demands of the youth are also is that to please unban the social media, please stop corruption, corrupt system, and please clean up the political system. So that is why thousands and thousands of youths are now coming in the street in Kathmandu since early morning, and they are protesting in Kathmandu.
We can see the numbers in which they have turned up. Anil, thank you in fact for joining us and giving us a pulse of the situation from Kathmandu at this given point. In fact, viewers, as we speak, we have Nepal MP Siraj Faruqi also joining us on the broadcast. मिस्टर फारूकी, आपसे पहले ये पूछना पहले तो हमारे साथ बात करने के लिए धन्यवाद। काफ़ी मात्रा में हम देख रहे हैं ये जो यंगस्टर्स आए हैं प्रोटेस्ट करने के लिए इस बैन के ऊपर, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे इसके बारे में?
देखिए, ये एक्चुअली ये अपोजिशन भी इसमें जो है इन्वॉल्व हो गया है और इस तरीके से जो है उसको पुशअप कर रहे हैं लोग जो है, और जाहिर सी बात है ये यंगस्टर के लिए तो ये सोशल मीडिया का जो है ये एक बेहतर साधन था इनके लिए, और उसके लिए जो है बंद किया। और कल भी मिनिस्टर से बात हुई थी इस जो है संबंध में, लेकिन उन्होंने वो लाइटली लिया जैसा लग रहा है, और इसकी गंभीरता को लोगों ने नहीं समझा। और आज जो प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है ये सिर्फ काठमांडू नहीं है, ये मैं समझ रहा हूँ कि बड़े जितने भी शहर हैं नेपाल के, ये हर जगह पर हो रहा है जो है। और अभी भी पता चला है कि जो है वो संसद भवन जो है वो वहाँ पर भी जो है वो एंट्री करके गए हैं उनके कंपाउंड में, जिसकी जो है कुछ लाठीचार्ज वगैरह भी किया है, सुगैस वगैरह भी किया है, लेकिन इससे ये मसला हल होने वाला नहीं है। इस पर सरकार को फौरन ध्यान देना चाहिए। जो अभी भी गृह मंत्री हम एक मीटिंग थी उसमें बैठे हुए थे और फौरन उन्होंने जो है कहा कि नहीं, कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश हो रही है जो है।
सिराज जी, हम एक ऐसे वक्त पर हम इस मुद्दे को देख रहे हैं जब सोशल मीडिया एक काफ़ी इम्पोर्टेंट सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स काफ़ी इम्पोर्टेंट है, और हम देख रहे हैं यूथ कितनी फ्रस्ट्रेटेड है इस बैन को लेके। तो गवर्नमेंट का ये डिसीजन क्यों था ये बैन लाने का, एंड दैट टू अ कंप्लीट बैन, ये क्यों डिसाइड किया गवर्नमेंट ने?
ये डिसाइड ये आज का नहीं है, ये काफी अर्से पहले से ही जो है ये बातें चल रही थी। सोशल मीडिया को जो है वो जो कुछ फॉर्मेलिटीज पूरी करनी थी, वो पूरी करने के लिए उन्हें बार बार कह रहे थे, लेकिन जो है उधर से कोई भी रिस्पांस न आने की वजह से ये इस तरीके के हालात पैदा हुआ जो है। और क्योंकि आप सोशल मीडिया कुछ ज़्यादा यंगस्टर के लिए तो कुछ ज़्यादा ही जो कि एजुकेशनली भी बहुत सी चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जो बच्चे उससे जो है लाभ उठा रहे हैं। तो ये सब सारी चीज़ें जो है ये इसमें को मद्देनजर रखते हुए इस तरीके का फैसला करना चाहिए था, कहीं ना कहीं कमजोरी।
जी, पर हम अगर सोशल मीडिया की बात करें, अभी कुछ महीने पहले हमने ऑस्ट्रेलिया में भी देखा था, एक ऐसा बैन लाया गया था, बट वहाँ पे भी उस एज के लिए कि 16 तक जो बच्चे हैं उनके लिए सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स को अलाउ नहीं किया जाएगा, उनके लिए वो बैन रहेगी। क्या कोई ऐसी मिडिल ग्राउंड सॉल्यूशन नहीं थी इस प्रॉब्लम के लिए जो नेपाल के लोग भी फेस कर रहे थे? कोई ऐसी रेगुलेशन नहीं थी?
और इस टाइप की कोई चीजें तो नहीं थी जो है यहाँ। और जाहिर सी बात है ये क्योंकि मीडिया से रिलेटेड जो भी चीजें थी जो है सूचना मंत्रालय और जो है संचार मंत्रालय का, उनका एक डिसीजन बहुत पहले करीब 1 साल पहले की बात है, जैसा कि मुझे पता चला है। गृह मंत्री अभी करीब आधे घंटे पहले ही जो है एक थी उसमें बैठे हुए थे, उसमें जिनका मेंबर मैं भी था, तो वहाँ बैठे हुए थे और फौरनी वो मीटिंग भी स्थगित हुई और फौरनी वो इसको हैंडल करने के लिए वो गए अपने मंत्रालय। तो मैं समझता हूँ कि उनसे भी बात हुई तो यही उन्होंने कहा कि ये फौरी तौर पर यह काम नहीं हुआ, इस तरीके की चीज़ें बैंड लागू नहीं हुआ है, ये काफ़ी पहले से इस तरीके की बातें आ रही थी और क्योंकि वो इग्नोर कर रही थी वो कंपनी, इसलिए जो है उन्होंने जो है इस तरीके का डिसीजन लिया।
जी, सिराज जी हमारे साथ बने रहिए। We also have Pranay Upadhyay joining us on the broadcast right now to in fact explain the situation at hand, what we are looking at. Pranay, the visuals are concerning, the numbers in which, and I keep reiterating this, numbers in which these youngsters have come down to the streets to express their frustration only shows the anger that they have against this very ban. How are we looking at this?
In Nepal, and not only the capital city of Kathmandu, but the other cities as well. What we are seeing here in terms of the visuals is that the people have come, and largely the youth have come out in large numbers to protest against the Oli government's decision to ban the social media platforms. And around 26 social media platforms, including Google, WhatsApp, TikTok, and many other platforms have been banned by the Oli government. In terms of they were expecting, the government wanted them to have a compliance, and in the failure of that compliance, but we have seen that recently there have been protests in favor of the monarchy, to bring back monarchy. Recently there have been protests against the electricity commission chief's removal. So there is a conflict, there is a tension, there is an anger brewing up in Nepal. And post COVID situation, if you see, the Nepal economy is really under a pressure, and amid those pressures, I think the Oli government has failed to manage the situation here. However, the compliance remains an issue for any government. But here, if there is a complete ban, you referred about the Australian ban. Look, the situation in Australia was it was different, because they wanted to regulate the presence of social media content, and especially wanted to regulate for the minors. But here there is a complete ban, and as you know, in large numbers, in many developing economies, the content economy has also become a big contributor for many youth, become an avenue for their employment, their economic resource generation, and therefore that's why you see large number of people have come out, especially this is, you can call it as a Gen Z protest in Kathmandu and various other cities of Nepal.
Right, Pranay, I'll come back to you. Viewers, these are some new visuals that we are bringing to you from Kathmandu. Again, as per the reports that we are gathering, Kathmandu isn't the only place in Nepal that we are seeing these protests from. But yes, these are the visuals we've been able to access from Kathmandu. Let me quickly bring in Anil Giri into the conversation here. Anil, visuals keep pouring in at this given point. There are people telling us about how the situation has been worsening in other parts of Nepal as well. Take us through what exactly is happening.
No, that is true that, the protesters, youth in the other part of the cities like in Viratnagar, in Pokhara, in Butwa, in the major cities, youth are protesting, outside the country also. The thing is that the social media have been running Nepal without registering since the day one when they came in the operation. Why did the government? Because they are paying the tax here. So the government is making unnecessary bullying to the social media, this bully government. That is why there is anger, there is a frustration among the people. Social media has become the part of life in this world now, okay? And they cannot blanketly ban like this. So they can, and what social media companies, Meta and others are saying to the government, please bring the law. You cannot regulate the social media by directives, some government directives. So please bring some laws that gives some kind of legal framework so that we can come and register in your country. And the social media, they have also serious concern about the content filter in the social media. You cannot post anything that against goes to the government. So there are this is my question, this is my answer to my other fellow friends who is speaking there, this and that. The thing is that the government has decided to put some restrictive measures while using the social media. That is also a measure, because of concern from the public. It's not about the Gen Z or the new generation. It's a concern about the hundreds of thousands of Nepali users. Social media has become part of life in Nepal now. Okay, it's a democratic country, and you cannot impose the blanket ban on social media and the messaging app. That is why that is why every single Nepali people have come out in the support of this movement. The reason is that.
Right. Anil, do stay with us. Pranay, coming back to you, you've made a very crucial, you've raised a crucial point with regards to how content economy has become a big part of economies across country. We've seen the kind of revenue that's generated from making content and pushing content out there. At a time like this, a complete blanket ban on social media, would you not say the government will somewhere feel the effect of that as well? And we are seeing that in terms of protest, but economically speaking?
You're absolutely right, Shreya. And definitely, this is the reason why so many people have come out. And as our fellow panelist was also pointing it out, that it's not about the youth alone, but many people have come out. They want to protest, and social media remains an important part of the life. And it's also if you see the messaging app, and I we all use these messengers. We all communicate via these social media platforms, and this remains an important part of our day-to-day communication ecosystem. So therefore this is completely unacceptable in terms of the people. But also on the other side, there is a flip side of it. This remains a question that why these social media platforms, why these internet giants and these companies are not complying with the rules, and this has created this problem. I think this is the reason why where the internet freedom and the social media social media platforms, if you remember, Shreya, Government of India also brought some kind of a regulation and some kind of IT rules and IT guidelines, with which every company and every platform operating in India were asked for some certain kind of a compliances. Though Government of India did not ban those applications, but asked them and persuaded them to comply for those compliances and those guidelines. Likewise, I think Nepal government should have also persuaded them, should have engaged them, rather than putting a complete ban. And not only the content economy, but the day-to-day communication, the day-to-day dealings. People have their
Right.
yeah.
Pranay, do stay with us. I have with me Khagraj Adhikari, Nepal senior politician, CM Gandaki Pradesh. Mr. Adhikari, thank you for speaking to us at India Today. At this given point, these are some of the visuals we are seeing. It's alarming what has started as almost a Gen Z revolution. That's what it seems like from the visuals against the social media ban that's been introduced by the government in Nepal.
Thank you for calling me. First of all, I want to correct your some saying, because I'm not in position of CM. I am immediate past CM. Just now, I'm in the position of the leader of my parliamentary party. Yes, today the Gen Z generation is very aware about the social media, and they were engaging in the social media. But all the social media government has announced to come to register in the proper channel and uh, deliver the service or service uh, to serve to provide the service all the believer. So this is the only try to make it in registration and regulation. Due to that, we can make it private. We can preserve the private secrecy, privacy, and criminology. Not to promote the criminology. Due to that, only the government has announced to service provider, not the Gen Z generation.
Right. Mr. Adhikari, while we understand the need for this ban or why the government took this very step, addressing the issue of non-compliance by these platforms, and that's a very pertinent issue, that's a very concerning issue. But what happens to all these youngsters, the youth, which is not just the youth, all those who make their livelihoods, have their revenues from social media platform? We've seen influencer culture growing across the world, and Nepal is also a part of it at this given point. When we speak of the influencer culture, where do they go?
Up to now, there is no collection of any collection of revenue to government. All the social media platforms, they are doing without taxation. They are not paying taxation, and they are not giving revenue, and government is not collection revenue. Due to that, government wants to enroll in the government registration and how they are doing and how they are awareing all the Gen Z and including all the society. So government want to make a one regulation, want to make a one enforce to make the easy service provide, and they can give the quality service to the beneficiary. So government is not going to ban all the social media and platforms.
Right. Mr. Adhikari, I have one last question for you here. What happens to situations, what happens in situations like this is, and you can see, despite the social media ban, these youngsters were able to access some platform and call for people in these numbers to the streets to come out and protest. Bans like this oftentimes ends up pushing people towards what we call the dark web. They start using these platforms illegally. So in that case, would you say this blanket ban is indeed a wise decision?
Yes, I want to assure you that government is not going to ban all the social media platform. Only the government want to make it sure and assure to quality service provide. But government is not able to just right now to what is the goal of the government, what is the aim of the government. So when the agitation was arranged by the Gen Z platform, Gen Z group, they already they had already announced that some provocator and some penetrator had been penetrated, and they make violence. The regulation law is and the agitation is violence, and violation is not our aim. So please go back in your home, and we are not able to manage it ourselves. They had already announced about the agitation.
Right. So you're saying they had already announced about the agitation before the ban came into place, and the fact that the government's aim here is to, in fact, provide quality service from these platforms wherein they comply to the laws of Nepal and regulations of the Nepalese government. Thank you, Mr. Adhikari, for joining us on the broadcast and putting forth the government's perspective of putting this very ban. Next up, I'm also being joined by journalist Sanjeev Puyal from Kathmandu again. Sanjeev, coming to you, my question firstly would be with regards to the situation. What are you picking up at this given point, given that the protests are not just restricted to Kathmandu, it's spread to several other pockets in Nepal, other cities in Nepal as well. Give us a sense of the situation.
Yes, thank you for having me. Actually, yeah, the situation, the protest situation is actually spiraling out of control. And when the protesters try to enter the parliament, the security break the prohibitory area, like two people have been injured, have sustained bullet injuries when when security personnel opened fire. And I've also heard that, and it has been confirmed by the Kantipur media itself, that its TV journalist Syam Shrestha has sustained bullet injury, and he has been taken to hospital for treatment to a nearby hospital, a government hospital, civil hospital, which is just next to the parliament building. And the news reports are and as we can see in the television channels, that the visuals that we are getting, that it is the protest is really spiraling out of control. And it was not expected to reach that level.
You say it was not expected to reach that level. We were just speaking to senior politician Mr. Adhikari at this given point on the broadcast, and he was saying the main aim of the government to bring about this very ban is to provide quality service to all the internet users out there, or rather all the social media platform users out there. But do you think, Sanjeev, that somewhere the government may have been a little hasty with this ban? Maybe there was another alternate way to go about with this entire situation.
Yeah, actually, the government definitely is trying to regulate the social media in Nepal. And the government this is not the first time that Nepal government has told these media to these social media organizations to come and be registered with Nepal government. But it had been issuing this notice long back, and the government.
All right, let's quickly cut across to the state of Nepal, and it doesn't look very good there, viewers. The latest coming in, the situation extremely tense, rather critical. 20 people have been killed in the clashes that have taken place against the protesters and the police. The police has opened fire with live ammunition. Violent protests continue across the country. Nepal government's emergency cabinet meet begins. Security of offices of major political parties of Nepal. Senior leadership has also been increased. Right now, the streets of Kathmandu in abject chaos. School colleges to remain shut for the next 2 days in several cities, not just Kathmandu, but across the country of Nepal. 20 people, like I pointed out, have been killed. Over 250 protesters are grievously injured. The condition of 25 protesters currently is critical. The fatalities will rise. The police was forced to open fire with live ammunition. All of that now playing out on the streets of Kathmandu. All right, what we are witnessing, viewers, has been a massive youth-led protest which has shook Kathmandu as Nepal's the Gen Z has risen up against corruption and what the government's crackdown is on social media. More than 20 young lives have been lost, with several injured being treated in the hospital. At the back of it, of course, has been a social media clampdown by the government. The government continues to maintain that they haven't signed into what is the norms where social media is concerned. but the youth have taken to the streets, thousands of them marching to the parliament, complete face-off, chaos on the streets of Kathmandu. The fatality count now stands at 20, with many grievously injured.
From hashtags to handcuffs, Nepal's Generation Z has gone from scrolling to storming the streets. In the heart of Kathmandu, a digital rebellion is now a full-blown street revolution. A massive youth-led protest shook Nepal's capital as thousands of Gen Z demonstrators hit the streets, angry over corruption and what they call a direct assault on digital freedom. The march that began at Maiti Ghar Mandala in Kathmandu on Monday surged towards Parliament, where clashes broke out. The police fired tear gas and used water cannons as some protesters breached the Parliament compound. Authorities have since imposed a curfew across key zones of Kathmandu. The unrest erupted after the KP Sharma Oli government blocked 26 social media platforms, including Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube and X, for failing to register with the Ministry of Communications. While officials insist it is a regulatory move, protesters claim it's a crackdown designed to silence dissent.
ये प्रोटेस्ट करप्शन के लिए है। हम सब लोग अब जागरूक हो चुके हैं कि अब नहीं सह पाएगा। अब जो होगा अब युवा पुस्ता करेगा। हम लोग को ये बुढ़ा लोग नहीं चाहिए। अब जो देश चलाएगा वो युवा लोग चलाएगा।
Despite internet blackouts, young activists turned to platforms like TikTok to organize what's now being called the Gen Z revolution. Meanwhile, former Chief Minister of Province Gandaki Pradesh, Khagraj Adhikari, defended the government's move, saying it was meant to protect young people and that better compliant mechanisms would soon be introduced.
The government has announced to come to register in the proper channel, and this is the only try to make it in registration and regulation. Due to that, we can make it, private. We can preserve the private secrecy, privacy, and, criminology, not to promote the criminology.
What started with a ban has exploded into a battle, and Nepal's youth is making it clear. Silence is not an option. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, I want to cut across to Pratibha Tuladhar, senior journalist, Kathmandu, because right now, viewers, the kind of indications we are getting in from Kathmandu don't look good. The battle between the youth and the government only but intensifying. Let me try and get in a word from Pratibha, who will give us a larger understanding what's really going on right now. Pratibha, what's the sense that you pick up? Where is Kathmandu headed? Already 20 young lives have been lost. What's the latest? Pratibha, can you hear us? All right, we seem to be having a problem with that audio connect with Pratibha, but viewers, like I pointed out, what we've been given to understand is disturbing news coming in from Kathmandu. Things have reached a head. 20 young lives already lost. The police was forced to open fire. All of that taking place in the backdrop of the youth, the Gen Z coming out in massive numbers, thousands of them, to protest what they call is a clampdown on social media. The government says it's a regulatory issue. These outfits need to register with the ministry, and that's the reason why. But having said that, it's taking a larger form and shape where the youth of Nepal on the streets of Kathmandu now linking a protest where corruption in Nepal is concerned, as well as their right to free speech. I want to cut across to Gaurav Sawant, our senior managing editor who's been tracking the latest coming in from Nepal. Gaurav, what more can you add?
So the situation does remain extremely grim in not just Kathmandu, but across the 77 districts of Nepal. The army's been called out. As of now, reports say at least 20 confirmed dead, more than 250 injured. Sadly, the toll could go higher. There are several who've already been taken to hospital and remain critical. And this after students or protesters or youth, the Hami Nepal students were on the streets. So, it's been brewing for quite some time, but the ban on 26 social media networks, overall, whether it's Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, and it's almost 90% of Nepal's population that's connected online. Ever since COVID, a large part of their jobs come from social media platforms, and that is why it's hurting their livelihood, it's hurting connectivity, and they're saying that the KP Sharma Oli government is actually hiding its corruption and incompetence by banning social media platforms. So they're saying ban corruption and not social media. That's why this fire has intensified, Preeti, and God forbid, it's likely to intensify if not controlled in time.
All right, Gaurav, appreciate you joining us. My colleague Gaurav Sawant, the senior managing editor, giving us a sense of what things are looking at, where the ground situation in Kathmandu is concerned. The army has been called out, which you can see on your television screen as well. We also have Pratibha Tuladhar, senior journalist. She joins us from Kathmandu. Pratibha, if you can give us a ringside view of what you're witnessing right now, where are the protests headed? Are things in control?
We saw a really dark day, I would say, in the history of Nepal. If you look at the history of Nepal in terms of the street protests that happen every couple of years and how that leads to a change in government, we've seen so many of these street protests that have had major implications in terms of what happens to the political situation of Nepal. But in terms of what we saw today, the public is furious because we have never seen this form of violence before, especially the kind that's been meted out to school students and students who were in uniform, students who were going to college, who were some of them protesting in school uniforms. And as you might have seen in the footages that were rolled out on different media platforms all day today, the protests began quite early in the morning at around 9 a.m. Some of them were in their uniforms, of course, and they came together based on this call on social media because that's the form that's been most effective across the world, right? That's how we organize people now. We organize people over social media now. And that's been the trend all over the world. And we saw that trend take the form of the protest that happened today as well. So all these young people went out on the streets to protest, and they were hoping, they said, that it was going to be a peaceful protest. But of course, situation got out of hand, as we've seen during the day.
All right, and, the situation, yes. Go ahead.
And curfew has been clamped down in different parts of the city. And of course, in some places of the city, there was defiance of curfew. And that was because protesters said that they were not aware that the curfew had been clamped down because they were already out on the streets and they didn't really, they were not aware. So yes, and then...
Pratibha, I'm going to come right back to you. And I want to get a larger understanding, because is the government looking at negotiating? And if they do negotiate with the protesting crowds, who are they negotiating it with? Because there doesn't seem to be anyone or any organization spearheading these protests against the government. I want to just, stay with me. I want to cut across to Pankaj Das, who's been reporting from the ground in Nepal. Pankaj, क्या सेंस है जो ग्राउंड सिचुएशन है अभी? क्या थिंग्स अभी अंडर कंट्रोल है या अभी भी टेंस सिचुएशन बनी हुई है?
बिल्कुल भी कंट्रोल में नहीं है। और जो ये प्रदर्शन है ये पहले पार्लियामेंट हाउस के आसपास सिर्फ सीमित था, लेकिन काठमांडू के कई इलाकों में फैल गया है और कई इलाकों से खबर आ रही है कि वहाँ पे पुलिस के साथ प्रदर्शनकारियों की झड़प जारी है। काठमांडू का जो न्यू रोड का इलाका है, जो सिंधारा का इलाका है, यहाँ का मेन सेंटर आर्मी हेडक्वार्टर वहीं पर है। इन जगहों से भी खबर आ रही है कि वहाँ पे पुलिस और प्रदर्शनकारी के बीच इस समय झड़प चल रही है। साथ ही पुलिस ने वहाँ पे जो हॉस्पिटल है, नेशनल ट्रॉमा सेंटर, जहाँ पे कई डेड बॉडी अभी भी रखी हुई है और कई सारे जो घायल प्रदर्शनकारी हैं उनको वहाँ पर ले जाया गया है। वहाँ पर हॉस्पिटल के भीतर पुलिस ने लाठीचार्ज किया है। इसी तरह सिविल हॉस्पिटल के बाहर भी और वहाँ पे पुलिस ने टीयर गैस छोड़ा है और वहाँ पे कई डॉक्टर जो है जो इमरजेंसी में थे, इमरजेंसी में वहाँ पे जाके वो हुआ है। तो इस जो स्थिति आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल हो रही है, न सिर्फ काठमांडू में बल्कि काठमांडू के बाहर कई शहरों से ये खबर आ रही है कि वहाँ भी गोलियां चली है। इटहरी में तो 2 लोग के मारे जाने की खबर है। जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर का होम डिस्ट्रिक्ट है ढाका, वहाँ पर भी दमक में 3 लोग गोली लगने से घायल हो गए हैं। कई सारे शहरों में कर्फ्यू लगा दिया गया है। नेपाल के भैरवा में, बुटवल में, इस तरह से तमाम शहरों में कर्फ्यू लगा दिया गया है। एहतियात के तौर पर सरकार ने 2 दिनों तक स्कूल कॉलेज को ऐसे शहरों में जहाँ प्रदर्शन हो रहे हैं वहाँ उनको स्कूलों को बंद कर दिया गया है। सारे पॉलिटिकल पार्टी जो है उनके ऑफिस की सुरक्षा बढ़ा दी गई है, क्योंकि सरकार को आशंका है कि ये प्रदर्शनकारी हो सकता है कि रात में या कल सुबह उनका जो निशाना हो वो ये पॉलिटिकल जो पार्टी के दफ्तर है वो हो, और सभी बड़े नेताओं की सुरक्षा भी अभी बढ़ा दी गई है।
पंकज, अभी तक जो फेटालिटीज हैं, 20 आर किल्ड, मेनी आर सीरियसली इंजर्ड पंकज, पर कोई समाधान अभी निकल के आ रहा है या नहीं आ रहा है? कोई आउटफिट है जिससे सरकार बात कर सके? क्योंकि ये पूरा एक ऑर्गेनिक प्रोटेस्ट सा लग रहा है कि कोई एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नहीं है, कोई आउटफिट नहीं है, कोई स्टूडेंट विंग नहीं है। सरकार बात करे तो किससे करे?
जी बिल्कुल, ये सरकार के लिए बहुत बड़ी मुश्किल है कि वो किससे बात करे, किसके साथ बातचीत करके समाधान का रास्ता ढूंढे। दूसरी बात ये भी है कि सरकार इस समय यहाँ पे 2/3 मेजोरिटी की सरकार है। अगर एक दिन के प्रोटेस्ट से सरकार को वापस अपने डिसीजन को लेना पड़ा तो ये भी सरकार के लिए बहुत ही खराब सिचुएशन होने वाला है, क्योंकि ये इसके बाद एक ये बन जाएगा, एक एग्जाम्पल बन जाएगा कि इस तरह के प्रोटेस्ट करो और सरकार को झुका दो, क्योंकि सरकार ने 1 घंटे में जैसे जिस तरह से आर्मी को डिप्लॉय कर दिया, उससे लग गया कि सरकार के कंट्रोल से सब कुछ बाहर हो रहा है। तो सरकार के लिए बहुत ही इस समय गंभीर स्थिति है कि वो क्या करे। वो अगर डिसीजन वापस लेती है तो भी सरकार की किरकिरी होने वाली है, और डिसीजन वापस नहीं लेते ये मामला और ज्यादा आगे बढ़ने वाला है।
बने रहिए पंकज हमारे साथ. I want to go back to Pratibha Tuladhar. Pratibha, you know what seemingly is an organic protest where students and the youth joining in from all spheres, making it difficult, to hold a conversation or a dialogue to end the protest. But the NGO Hami Nepal was the one which was behind most of these protests. Is there any initiation to build a dialogue that maybe things can then be stemmed in terms of what we are witnessing?
So what we've heard so far is that the government has called for an emergency meeting and they're trying to look into what the next steps can be. But it also feels like they've waited too long for this emergency meeting to take place, because it has been a very violent and sad day already. And of course, as you spoke to Pankaj earlier on as well, and as he shared, it's really difficult to hold meetings with like one group particularly, because this has been an organic protest. We've seen this across Nepal. Youth from across Nepal have come forward on their own, but of course there have also been reports of infiltration, which is something that we have been witnessing in protests in the past as well. And so there have been talks of infiltration. And so, of course, at this point, it's hard for the government to, as they're saying, ask for like a particular group to come and talk to them. But I think it's also important for the government to understand at this point, especially when the human rights sector and the opposition are already calling for the resignation of the prime minister. It's important for the government to understand that this is something that is not about a particular group of people, but it's about the youth of Nepal who are calling for a change and end to corruption and to nepotism, so that there can be some form of security for them, job security. And a lot of these issues that have been unresolved and that issues that the government has been unresponsive towards, that's been building up over the years.
True.
And that's something the government needs to address at
the
this
social
point.
media clampdown only seemed to be a trigger, Pratibha, because it seems to be multiple issues that have been piling on, and the result is what we've seen in terms of an explosion where street protest is concerned. Stay with me. I'd like to go back to Pankaj. He's been reporting from ground, getting us the latest. Pankaj, जो हम डिस्कस यही चीज़ कर रहे हैं कि देखिए ये जो सोशल मीडिया क्लैंप डाउन है ये एक सिर्फ ट्रिगर है, इसके पीछे करप्शन के इश्यूज हैं, बहुत सारे और मुद्दे हैं जो एंटी इनकम्बेंसी नेपाल के जो प्रधानमंत्री हैं उनके अगेंस्ट, इन सब के दायरे में अगर हम बात करें तो ये प्रोटेस्ट अभी खत्म नहीं होने वाला है, लगता है और इंटेंसिफाई होगा। पंकज, आपके लिए था ये सवाल। पंकज, कैन यू हियर मी? Okay. I think there's a problem with the audio line where Pankaj is concerned. We're going to try and rebuild that audio line. But viewers, I just want to give you the backdrop. The backdrop clearly is with what is being reported, and it is where the Gen Z, thousands of youth of Nepal coming out on the streets protesting against what is a digital clampdown, a clampdown on social media, where they are protesting against it. The government says it's a regulatory issue. All these companies need to register with the ministry, and they haven't quite done so. But there is, something bigger in the offing, which clearly this latest flashpoint has proven to be just a trigger. I want to bring in my colleague Pranay, who's joining us for more on this. Pranay, there are a number of issues which have now exploded on the streets of Kathmandu, with the trigger being the social media clampdown.
Actually, the social media clampdown or social media ban has become a point here, Preeti. But definitely, there were grievances. There were grievances regarding corruption. There were grievances regarding the unemployment, the grievances regarding the management, the fiscal management of the Nepal exchequer. There are many issues, and we have seen the indications of these, this growing anger among the Nepalese population in terms of bringing back the monarchy or the removal of the electricity commission chief. In the recent past, in last 4-5 months, we have seen many such protests. But the way it became the rallying point, you see the methodology chosen by the KP Sharma Oli government to ban these social media platforms by virtue of bringing an ordinance. That is also a bone of contention, because many people think that he should have brought in via the cabinet approval, which he didn't choose. He brought the ordinance. The parliament approval was not taken in terms of bringing out such kind of a ban. More so, this indeed became a rallying point. But definitely it cannot be ignored, the fact that, the anger was growing in Nepal. The KP Sharma Oli government did not pay attention to the growing anger as well. And if you see it has been 4 days. Last week, they have put ban on these 26 social media platforms. After that, there have been, grievances. There have been, reports. There have been protests as well. And the call was given. What did KP Sharma Oli government do? Why did the government allowed to escalate situation to go to this level? And why there were no security deployment to maintain the law and order in the situation? Why did they allow it to spread to the other parts of Nepal as well?